And welcome back. I'm here with Greg Buchanan, of course, for a weekly segment in sports. And it is a particularly unique weekly segment because NHL veteran Scott Hartnell, and a local native, obviously, or a native of this area, has announced his retirement now. I believe it's nearly a 20-year career for the winger. You got a chance to chat with him recently.
Yeah, we chat with him. He'll be on the Tuesday night sports show tomorrow night on Rail Country 95.9. He is everything you saw him on the ice. He's a character. He is like that off the ice too. And 17 years of playing with Philadelphia, New Jersey, and also Columbus. And it unique for him because he gets drafted by Nashville. His last game is with Nashville. He was looking for a contract during the offseason. It never came. I know he had discussions with the Rangers, but nothing really came out of that. Did a lot for charities. Unique for Scotty because there was a Twitter out there called Hartnell Down. And early in his career, this guy on Twitter was making fun of him falling down and counted the number of times he fell down. Right. Scotty reached out to him and turned that into a charity organization and raised millions of dollars for charities throughout the U.S. So that kind of turned something into a fan making fun of him into a great promotion for the charities that he helped out.
You see, both creative and wonderful in terms of the generosity given there. Hartnell, obviously, again, long career, many different NHL teams. It was also in a moment of prominence a few different times in his career. Obviously, Philadelphia, there was that run, the Stanley Cup final run, obviously noticeable with the Blue Jackets as well as the Predators. What do you think people will most remember him for in terms of his NHL career?
He was a guy that had, he'll be the first one to admit, had somewhat limited skill. The falling down is an aspect of that, but he worked hard. He was a good team guy in Philadelphia, known for the hair, known for being a tough guy in front of the net, known for sticking up for his teammates. So he was a hard-working kid that, proof positive that you work hard, good things can happen, and it did for Scotty.
Absolutely, and obviously he played long enough that he got a chance to see a lot of the United States and make a little bit of money over the course of his career, as well as raise money. Do you think there's, from talking to him, is there any element of missing out on winning certain team successes?
Well, yeah, he was knocking on the door. He was in a Stanley Cup final with the Philadelphia Flyers, had good runs with Nashville too. You know what, you're always, when you look back in your career, there's a lot of what ifs. You don't get a Stanley Cup ring, you don't win the big game, so there's going to be what ifs for Scotty, but a great career, a guy that went from 16-year-old kid playing AJHL with the Lloydminster Blazers back in the day, went on to the PA Raiders, was a solid captain for them in the WHL, and then went on to a great career in the NHL. So a lot of what-ifs, but just a tremendous career and a great ambassador, not just for the game of hockey, but a great ambassador for anybody that looks to him as a role model here in Lloydminster.
Yeah, and speaking of being a local role model, where does he rank amongst famous Lloydminster athletes? I mean, Braden Holtby is the hot one right now, obviously, because of having won a Stanley Cup. But, I mean, he's one of the most recognizable for sure.
Well, you can't with the red hair and the beard and everything. But Wade Redden's right there. Clark MacArthur, who just recently, unfortunately for him, had to walk away from the game because of concussion issues. But he's right up there with some of those three great players that have come through here. Lance Ward's another one. Corey Cross is another one. So there's been a long list of NHLers that came through Lloydminster. And you're going to see more NHLers coming through. Cale Clegg right now with the LA Kings, Ty Smith, New Jersey Devils. So there's going to be the new cycle of young kids coming in from this area onto the NHL.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will be back here in studio in the next hour for a little more chat, including especially important discussion about the big football game that happened on Friday. So we'll see you back in less than an hour. Welcome back to studio. Josh here with Greg. We had a pretty big football game take place over the weekend. The result, not necessarily the team that won was a surprise, but the final score certainly was a surprise for those in attendance.
Yeah, 30-3 for Lloyd Comp, and you kind of thought it was going to be closer between Lloyd Comp and Holy Rosary, two of the best teams in high school football in Alberta for that matter. But really, Holy Rosary's offense just could not get in gear. They couldn't get a first down. They couldn't make some passes. And one of those kind of off games for their offense. And they know Holy Rosary's not going to have a lot of off games. But give proof positive that Lloyd Comp has a good balanced attack. They have good defense. They have good offense, and their special teams is good too. So I think both teams kind of take a lot out of that. Aaron Harper knows that he has a good squad there. Holy Rosary knows they need to work on a few things. So coming out of that game, these teams are going to get better.
For sure. Obviously, the Barons excited with their run game. Nathan Zacharias rushing for a couple hundred yards as well. Touchdown late in the game. Another great game from Tyler Merrilees, who's been a new addition to their team as well. Holy Rosary just really not even able to get consistent first downs, and that could perhaps be some miscommunication. Also, maybe just an off game from the quarterback, Dante Tabaku.
Yeah, it could be an off game. You know, that's what you're hoping for. That's just a bit of an off game. And give credit to Barron's defense. You know, you can always say, well, the offense wasn't clicking, but at the same time, if you're playing against tough defense, it makes things that you're trying to do a little difficult, and they were difficult for Holy Rosary on Friday.
Absolutely. And now the teams obviously will have a couple of weeks to finish off the regular season, try to maintain their first and second place standings in the Wheatland Football League. So that's this Thursday. You have the Raiders in Wainwright, and you have the Barons hosting Bonnyville. So that'll be an important game for Lloydminster.
Yeah, and right now Bonnyville and St. Paul are in a battle in Tier 3 football too, so it'd be interesting to see how Bonnyville's a good football club. And in Lloyd Comp, they don't want to really be resting anybody this time of the year. You want everybody to be firing on all cylinders, so look at Lloyd Comp to keep on doing what they're doing, and that's win football games.
And we'll jump now to hockey. They had the AJHL showcase over the weekend. The Bonnyville Pontiacs had an excellent showing, winning both their games. Not as excellent showing for the Bobcats, though they showed improvement in their second outing.
Yeah, at least their second game. They lost their first one, were shut out 5-0. Second one against Cam Moore, lost in overtime shootouts, at least got a point out of it. But at the same time, they just have 2 wins in 7 games. And on top of that, they're the lowest scoring team in the AJHL with only 15 goals in 7 games. So that means 2 goals a game is their average. You don't win a lot of games by 2 goals.
Yeah, and that's certainly not what they're hoping for this year. I mean, they've talked a lot during preseason and training camp as well about how much more skill is on the roster this year, and they're excited about the 2 goaltenders they have. And while the goaltenders, I'd say, have largely done their job, they haven't been able to get the offense going.
And sometimes, right now, the Bobcats come out of that weekend. They were done on Saturday afternoon, so they have a few days off. They don't play again until Saturday at home against Drayton Valley. So you know what? Travis Clayton is going to work hard in practice, work on some skill drills, and try to get pucks to the net. And sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes you're not getting the pucks to the net that you want to in a game. And if less shots means less goals, so hopefully Bobcats will bounce back with a win against Drayton Valley, because Drayton Valley is behind them in the standings. So whenever you're struggling, it's nice to play against a team that's worse than you.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a team they already beat as well just a week ago to get their second straight win and their first road win of the season. Obviously, they'd like to get another home win coming up in this particular outing as well. And are you excited at least to see how Zach Kaiser has played thus far? Because he seems to be on point for at least point-a-game pace.
Yeah, you know what? You knew going into this season Zach's going to be the guy that's going to be the straw that stirs the drink, right? So he's going to be a guy that they're going to call upon, and he has been putting up some pretty good numbers.
And we expect to see that continue. That's all for me and Buck here in studio.